Welcome to the Be Better podcast with Lee Barrison. True stories from Bakersfield's business owners and entrepreneurs. Lee is a local real estate broker that sold over 1,700 houses in almost 18 years. He is a husband, father, owner, and lead coach of Infinity Real Estate Services. And now it's time for the Be Better podcast.
Guys, what's up? It's Lee Barrison with the Be Better podcast. And this is going to be episode 9, and I really want to appreciate and thank all of you guys that have taken the time out to listen to this podcast. This is going to be my first single podcast without having any type of guests on the Be Better podcast. But again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys that have either taken the time to subscribe to our podcast. I'd like to thank anybody out there that has given us a 5-star rating. And more importantly, I'd like to thank any of you guys out there that have left a review so we know that you are live. And so, with no further ado, today's topic is going to be about freedom, okay, and options, freedom and options. And as some of you guys know, this podcast, the reason why we call it the Be Better podcast is because we want you to be better. We want to improve the lives of individuals that are either in business or in sales or entrepreneurs. And we want you to be better humans. We want you to be better parents. We want you to be better salespeople. We want you to be better in your health. We want you to be better in your finances. We want you to be better in all aspects of your life. But you can't do that unless you look deeply and clearly into what's going on in your life, whether it be good or bad, and focus. And so today's topic is about freedom and the options that we have or we think we have. If you absolutely want to change your career status, if you want to change the things that you've been doing year over year over year, getting the same exact result, this topic is going to be something that you might want to listen to over and over again, okay? Because if you haven't seen a change in your career or in your business over the 2 to 3 to 4 years that you've been doing the same thing over and over by getting the same result, then of course, everything is going to be the same in your business. But if you really want to change the direction and the dynamics in your career for 2019, then of course we got to do something differently. We got to understand, first off and foremost, that in today's society, everybody out there wants something for nothing, okay? Or everybody out there wants instantaneous results. They don't want to have to put in the work or the time or the effort. They don't want to cut their teeth long enough to persevere and go through all the bullshit, okay, that it takes in order to really get to where they want to be. So what they would prefer to do is avoid all the perseverance and avoid all the pain and the agony that's required to change. So, for instance, there's so many people out there right now that are, selling you products online on Instagram, for instance. Get rich schemes. They're selling you magic pills. They're selling you magic wands. They're telling you that you don't have to work harder, but you have to work smarter, which I do agree to an extent. But working smarter is basically 20% of really having a dramatic change in your business in 2019. Working harder is what it comes down to, guys. Working harder is the only antidote to changing what you've been doing for the past 2 to 3, 4 years that has not been working in your business. But none of us would like to work harder. A lot of us would prefer to avoid the thought of working harder, but looking for a magic answer that, guess what? It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a magic answer. Everybody out there, anybody great that has a sustainable business, anybody great that has a business that they make a great living on, and they reinvest that money that they've earned into other businesses or real estate or whatever you want to call it to make them more money. Any person that you talk to out there, I don't care who it is, has worked their ass off to get to the position that they're in today. Those that made a quick buck, those that made money way too quick, also lose it too quick. I can't tell you how many people, you hear it as well, right? But there's people out there. There's people that win the lotto. They win millions and millions of dollars. There's professional athletes out there that earn millions and millions of dollars just to go off and become bankrupt over a short period of time after making all this money because they didn't put the work in. They got lucky. They got a big paycheck. But they didn't put any work in. So therefore, easy come, easy go. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that adage, and it's so true in anything in life. Easy come, easy go. Those that have put their time in, those that have earned their stripes in business, those guys are the ones that have a sustainable business because they've learned from all the trials and errors and the perseverance and all the long nights and all the early mornings and the days that they didn't get paid, the days that they didn't get the deal, all the practice that they put in, everything that they invested into where they're at today. That's what created a sustainable business and is going to last them for years to come. So in 2019, guys, if you are ready to change your career, whether you're in sales, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, this podcast is for you. So let's talk about freedom for a moment. Okay. And freedom basically, guys, it's really why most people go into business for themselves. Okay. It's at least one of the reasons why people go into business for themselves. Whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's a new startup company, whether it's the guy at the liquor store, whether it's a gardener, but everybody typically goes into business because they want the freedom. They want to have the attitude that nobody can tell me what to do. Okay? We imagine a world where no one can tell us what to do. A world where we can decide. We have the decision of what we want to do and what we don't want to do. And it's also a world or, a fantasy land that we've created for ourselves in our own mind, being our own business owner, to where we have what we call options. Options. Okay? The options are basically what destroy most businesses. The options are what cause people to be at best mediocre in whatever they do in life. The option to sleep in. The option to arrive late to the office. All the options and excuses that have saved us in the past. And guess what, guys? The world, your family, your friends, your coworkers, they think those options are okay. So therefore, since they think it's okay, then you begin to think it's okay too, to have options. And what I'm telling you guys right now in 2019, being that we're only, 5 days away from there, you got to cut the options out of your life. You have to sever the options out of your life if you want to survive at a optimal level in 2019. You have to sever the options, okay? And you have to decide. You have to decide for yourself whether it's important enough for you, whether it's important enough for your family, and whether it's important enough for your business to decide that options are no longer an option. You can no longer do this shit. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you have to make the decision to cut the options out of your life. You know, the root word of decide, guys, is kind of interesting. But, you know, decide. Think of some other words that end with side. Okay? Homicide. Pesticide. Suicide. Okay, these are just 3 examples of words that have the root word side at the end. And what that root word means is to sever, is to basically cut off, okay? I mean, you know, you want to go off and kill somebody and run a homicide on somebody? Well, guess what? You have made the decision to kill them. Suicide. You have made the decision to sever your own life. And you guys have to decide right now, as soon as possible, in 2019, what options you're willing to eliminate out of your life if you want to have an abundant lifestyle and basically a freaking game changer of a career in 2019. Otherwise, especially if you're in real estate, being that the market's changing, you could potentially be out of this industry by the end of 2019, and that's true. So say, for instance, you do decide, you know, that one day you finally realize that you want to succeed at a very high level. And I certainly hope that this podcast here, podcast number 9, strikes a freaking chord right between your eyes that you do actually want to succeed at a very high level. You know, you want the best future possible for your family. You want the best future for your loved ones and your business. And guys, most importantly, you want to create a legacy of success within your industry and your community, your community that you can be proud of in 2019. But it all starts with deciding, making the decision. So then one day, you know, I mean, basically all of a sudden, you realize that the one thing getting in your way of building a great legacy for yourself are the options that you thought you had. Again, the option to sleep in. The option not to pick up the phone. The option not to answer the phone. The option not to go to the gym. The option not to eat right. The option not to listen to others that have already done it, but yet you want to do it your way. Okay, that's something else I want to talk about, guys. If you guys are taking advice from somebody that is 1 or 2 years in the business that you're involved in, and they're already telling you how to do it because I've done it once or I've done it twice, guys, you ought to be careful with that advice coming from that person, because trust me, guys, the only people that I take advice from are people that have done it year over year over year over year over year and have a proven track record of absolute success in what I do, and that's real estate sales. Okay? So whatever line of business you're in, I would recommend right now deciding for myself, who do I want to be mentored by in 2019 that has a proven track record to really take my business to the next level. And I'm sure for whatever line of work you're in, whatever career you're in, you could probably identify 2 to 3 people that meet that criteria. Okay? That's just a little side note, something that just popped in my head that I thought I ought to share. So let's get back to talking about options, guys, right? So look around you. Just look around you for a minute, right? You know, we live in a world where options are destroying people's dreams. Everywhere you look, there's options. And guess what? No one seems to realize it. No one seems to identify that the options are the things that are absolutely destroying the dreams and careers of business owners in everyday society. They say 80% of businesses go out of business in the first 2 years or less. And guess what? I bet you anything, I put my money on it. One of the reasons why those businesses went out so quickly is because they thought they had options. And the true path to success, guys, in business is to realize that options should be thrown out your freaking door today, starting today. And only systems and habits will truly lead you to greatness. Better yet said, surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and have also chosen to eliminate the options and have a proven track record to really show you exactly how to do it. Because trust me, there's people in this world, especially in the real estate industry, and I'm just going to pick on you guys for a minute because that's what I do for a living as a real estate broker. But in the real estate industry, once somebody sells 15 houses, once somebody sells 20 houses or 25 houses, let's even give them the credit of selling 30 houses, all of a sudden they think of themselves as being a guru. And that's bullshit because guess what? Selling 20 houses ain't shit. If you're in the real estate world, you should have no problem selling 20 houses per year. Let's face it, guys, that's less than one a month. But yet all of a sudden, you're a guru. Good for you. Okay? So the true path to success in any business is to realize the options. You got to get rid of them. And the only option is your desire to succeed at a massively high level. That should be the only option left on the table. So so say for instance, you do decide to eliminate all these options that we're talking about. You finally make the decision that you want to eliminate these options. And you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. So pretty soon you realize that in order to really make it in your line of work, you have to show up a little more often. You have to arrive a little bit earlier. You got to practice harder than ever before. And more importantly, you have to hone your skills to even a greater level. Okay? You have to practice more than ever, and you have to hone your skills greater than ever. Because let's face it, guys, in sales specifically, most people don't practice. And here at my company, we talk about practice all the time. And I can tell you, and I can quickly identify the ones that are killing it in this office or in my company. And I can also tell you the ones that aren't killing it in my company. And it's because of the ones that I see show up on a daily basis and practice and are focused on honing their skills. It's very simple to identify those that are going to have great careers. And it's very simple to me to identify those that aren't going to make it unless they eliminate the options that we're talking about today. Your average football team, your average NFL football team right now, guys, they practice 60 hours a week. 60 hours a week to play a freaking 3-hour game on a Sunday. So anybody out there that's in sales, my question is, how often do you practice? Do you just practice when it's convenient for you? Do you don't find any value in practice? Do you think practice is stupid? and I've already got it figured out? Is your ego talking to you right now? Because guys, the truth is that if you don't practice consistently on a very high level, especially with people that are better than you, then you're going to be an average person in sales or in business. And there's nobody out there that's willing to pay for average. I don't know about you, but when my wife and I, when we go to a movie, I'm not telling her, hey, babe, hey, Lucy, check it out. Hey, let's go see a really average movie tonight. Are you excited? Of course not, right? Honey, guess what? It's date night tonight, and I'm going to take you out, and we're going to have a really average meal. How exciting does that sound, guys? Or better yet, you know what? I'm in the market for a new wife, or for a wife. I apologize. I love my wife to death. There will never be a new wife, but I'm in the market for a wife, or I'm in the market for a husband. Okay, I'm in the dating scene, but I'm only looking for an average man to marry, or I'm only looking for an average woman to marry. I don't want anybody extraordinary. I'm in the market to sell my house, but I don't want to hire like a really good agent. I just want somebody who's going to be average. How often do people use this type of language? The answer is never. The answer is never. Okay? So then, so basically, you realize that you have to arrive earlier. You got to practice harder. You got to start working on your skill set. You got to start looking within yourself as to what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and more importantly, doing the things that most people aren't willing to do. The so-called gurus out there won't tell you this because they want to appeal to the masses, guys. The so-called gurus out there are going to tell you that you don't have to show up early. You don't have to practice. You don't have to stay late. You don't have to bang the phones for 3 hours. You don't have to go on a lot of appointments. You just have to sit there and kick your legs back up on the table and sit there and hope and pray that the phone will ring and somebody's going to actually call you and say, will you come sell me your product? That shit ain't going to happen, guys. Not in this world. That's not reality. You guys are living in fantasy land if you guys are thinking about that. But yet, let's get down to the brass tacks about this. So, the numbers do not lie, okay? And you guys know deep down in your heart that nothing good comes without perseverance. Nothing good comes without hard work. Being the hardest worker in the room. Being the one looking for the most perseverance. Being the one that's willing to get punched in the throat over and over and over and over again just to get better. The sacrifice. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Eliminating the options. That's when you realize that you have finally woken up. Okay? That's when you realize you have to wake up earlier. You have to accept the fact that you have to work harder. You have to accept the fact that you have to eat better. You got to accept the fact that you got to arrive earlier. You got to practice daily. I mean, heck, you got to hunt daily like a freaking psychopath. That's how you make it big in sales, guys. That's exactly how you do it. Presenting masterfully to people. Not just a mediocre or quote unquote an average presentation. As a salesperson, if you're thinking that your average presentation is going to knock the socks off your people and make them want to sign contracts for big money, guess what? The next guy that comes in that was practicing harder than you, showing up earlier than you, staying later than you, hunting more than you, he's going to kill you if you have to face him during a presentation. And more importantly, guys, you have to open up to others for help. In today's world, we're so scared to ask questions. There's so many people in this world, including myself, that are just willing to help people get better, be better. That's the freaking name of this podcast, is the Be Better Podcast, because I want everyone listening to this podcast to be better. I want this to impact people. I want this podcast to make people want to be better, to strive to be better, to be excited to be better than they were yesterday, the day before. And you also, guys, have to allow others to help. But guess what? Nobody's going to help you out there. Nobody's going to just reach out to you unless you ask for the help. The agents that come into my company, the agents that work at my company, they know for a fact, and you can ask any one of them, that I'm always available. Always available. And if I'm not, I will be available very, very soon. But most of the time, I'm available. Whether it's in person, whether it's by text, whether it's by phone, whether it's Sunday afternoon, heck, whether it's even Sunday evening. You call me, my phone answers. Why? Because I want to help my agents grow. And I'll do whatever it takes to help them grow. And you have to do all this, guys, while managing your time, as to not neglect those that really are most important to you. You know, if you decide to cut the options out of your life and choose the option to start, working harder, like I mentioned, and eating better and arriving earlier and practicing harder and hunting for more business and so on and so forth. I mean, let's face it, that takes a lot of time out of your personal life, and it also takes time away from your family. And you have to manage it. It's like a juggling act. It's like you work for the circus and you have all these balls that you're trying to juggle and maintain up in the air. And this is one of the hardest parts. After cutting out all of your options and realizing what you have to do and what you shouldn't be doing, then you also have to not forget to neglect the ones that are most important to you, which is your family. The ones that you do all of this for. And then the big question is, will you ever be able to leverage your time? And the answer to that, guys, is absolutely. 100%. You will leverage other people to take over, and you'll be able to hire people to leverage, to take over some of your time, so that way your business continues to run and grow, but more importantly, you do not forget to neglect the ones you love the most. But guess what? And we're going to come to a conclusion right here, but not only, you get that at first, okay? You just don't get to leverage people in the beginning. In the beginning, it starts with hard work. In the beginning, it takes the ability to make the decision to sever the things or the options out of your life. In the beginning, you've got to pay the price up front. And what I mean by that, guys, is in the beginning, you're going to have to put a lot of work in. You're going to have to put a lot of hours in. You're going to have to practice a lot. You're going to have to show up a lot. You're going to have to present a lot. And you may not get anything in return in the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why most people quit before they get started. Success is just around the corner, and then they say, you know what? I did this for 20 days or 30 days. Shit didn't work. I quit. I'm going to go back to my old options. That's where you fell, because they weren't able to persevere long enough to enjoy the legacy that they were trying to build. So you got to pay the price up front. You have to eliminate the options. And more importantly, guys, you have to submit to a system and a purpose that's greater than yourself. You have to submit to a system that's greater than yourself. And the funny thing is that when you do that, well, that's when you begin to earn the freedom that we talked about. That's when you begin to earn the freedom you sought after from the very beginning. When you got in that business, when you started that career, when you got into real estate sales, whatever it is. Everybody gets into business for thinking that they can have a lot of freedom and have a lot of choices. But you cannot, or you will not sustain with that type of mindset. You will lose. But if you endure the time, endure the practice, and really humbly tell yourself that I'm going to sever and eliminate the options in my life in order to earn the freedom that I've been looking for, then you're going to live a very fruitful career in your business. So guys, with that said, I'm just going to close it at that. But I thought this is a very good topic at this time of year because guess what? In 1 week, 2019 is starting. And I certainly hope that in less than 1 week, you're going to make a wise decision for yourself and for your business and for your family that you're going to eliminate the options out of your life that are causing you to be mediocre at best. So that way you can earn the freedom that you truly desire in your career. So with that being said, I hope everybody out there has a fantastic day. And again, you can find this podcast, guys, on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on Google Play. Look for us. The Be Better podcast with Lee Barrison. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to get better. We're going to keep throwing fire at you guys, and hopefully really bringing some great topics that are going to change your life, because that is the reason why we do this podcast. I do not ask for money. I do not ask for there's no sponsorship to this podcast. I do this because I want to help people. And if you want to help yourself, then please subscribe and keep listening, guys. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.